0191 488 3188.
This is Night Owls.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Okay, and lots of people have been partaking. If you are watching, you'll have seen some of these dart up on the screen ahead of you. And also, I didn't mention before, we got a great competition to name another hit where you could win yourself one of these funky Night Owl mugs if you are geek clever as oot. I think it's a simpler one tonight. But only if you know it, I suppose. Right, let's see. Best sweets, the nominations. There are Judith Daglish, Black Jacks. Evelyn Swift comes in with Rainbow Drops Keep Falling on My Head. She pushed it, but she got there. I've got others like Treats for My Sweet. Pretty clever. Keep them coming. Robert Ford likes Tutti Frutti. Oh, Rudy. John Ray, Lions Butterscotch tablets. He says he was gutted when they stopped making them. Harry Morrick. Caramac says he's bee's knees, Caramac. And Good Old Smarties is another one for Robert Ford. Kay Smith, Rhubarb and Custard or Chocolate Limes. Chocolate Limes, I haven't had one for years. Kevin Turnbull like Toffos, and now he just pinches his son's retro sweets. Paul White, Have a Cabana, he says. Harvey Cutts, Milkman's Son. He's got a girlfriend and she's cute, how about that? And he says his favourite sweetie is a Twinkie. Make up your own jokes. Catherine Webber likes Dolly Mixtures. Joe Marsh from Colchester likes old-fashioned sarsaparilla tablets. Did you know sarsaparilla used to be a poison in the 50s, but they've tidied it up? And Joe John Hurd, After 8, says a big up, Alan Robson. Oh, they've tried that. I didn't let them. And also, Christine Vacher likes Black Bullets all day long. Michelle Blake is in Canada. Different sweeties there. She likes chocolate duds. I'm not sure what a chocolate dud is. Please explain, if you possibly can. Educate us back in the old country. Also, Ben Mabon, Cola Cubes, Chris Quinn, Giant Strawberries and Bubblegum Bottles. Anthony Tuck, Peanut M&Ms, Neville Applin, Midget Gems. And that's about... Oh, hang on, 2 more songs. Mars... He's Making Eyes at Me. Oh, dear. And I Did It, Milky Way. Brilliant. Keep the songs coming. If every song was about a sweetie, do tell. Anyway, let's get talking. Do you know the clips we played earlier? We played one about age gaps, and we've got a couple of emails about that I'll read out soon. But on one of the clips, a guy came on saying that he was so much older than his young girlfriend, and if only she'd been a bit younger, he could have found himself on the sex offenders register. Little did I know that the woman he was going out with happened to be listening to that clip and has called us up. It's Regan in Sunderland. Hello, Regan.
That's me, yeah.
I know it is. Blimey, I bet that took you back.
It did, yeah.
So what about the whole age gap thing then? Was it ever an issue?
Not really, no. It took us by surprise at first.
Right.
Because I'd met him the year before.
Under what circumstances, though? Like at a dance or a disco, at a club? Where did you... Because you met quite young, obviously.
Obviously, our exes that we were still with at the time were both paraplegic.
Oh, bless, right, uh-huh.
It was just literally a fun day out. We'd just gone down to South Shields Fun Fair, and it was just literally by chance we'd been there together.
So you were there with your partners,
yeah,
and presumably a few other people probably kicking around too. And because you were doing roughly the same thing that he was doing, looking after your partner and making sure they were having as good a time as possible, and just something just clicked. Is that what it was?
Basically.
Yeah, that's great. But I mean, the whole age thing. Before you decided that it was gonna, we started giving you a bit of a chat spee, and you give him a chat spee back like you do. At what point did he ever say, well, how old are you actually? Because obviously there was a decent age gap at the time.
Yeah. I can't actually remember that far back.
Okay. Now, that's fair enough. It's just at some point I would have thought he would have to ask, how old are you? And then you would obviously know that he was a bit older than you. It never put you off at any point?
No.
Good.
I mean, that clip was actually played 7 years ago.
Right. Good gracious, really? Right.
Yeah.
So how's things? I mean, are you still together?
Yeah, 8 years in December.
Oh, wow.
A 2-year-old. It's quite good.
No, that's great. Well, it's proof that it can work, and the age thing has never been an issue to you. What about your parents? What did they have? Did they have anything to say?
Obviously at first they weren't very keen because obviously he was like a month older than my auntie.
Month older than your auntie and catching up to your mum and dad, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's actually 3 years between Stuart and me mum.
Right,
So,
well, there you go. That's close enough, isn't it, really?
I mean, they weren't very happy at first, but
They got used to
they
it.
soon got used to it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Hey, good stuff. Anything else then, Regan?
That's it.
That's lovely. Hey, well, thanks for coming on. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, darling. Bye-bye. So, there you go. It can work. Have you noticed, though, and I know this is, but sometimes you meet the person that you really want to spend the rest of your life with when you're with somebody else. It happens. I'm not saying it's right, but hopefully everybody can then, end that one and say, okay, well, it's been good, but... And then you move on. Don't ever do the cheaty thing. Hate the cheaty thing. Anyway, let's crack on. Oh, one or two more of the of the sweet things are coming in. They're very good as well. Classic old song, Baubles, Spangles and Beads. That's really old, 50s. Elvis Presley fans, Return to Cinder. Toffee. Okay. Teddy Bear's Picnic and The Lion Bar Sleeps Tonight. Topper. Right, keep them coming. If every song in the world ever made was about sweeties, do tell. We're off to Annan. We've got Lewis. Hi, Lewis.
Hello.
Hello, mate. Good. Good to have you. What you got for me?
Right. So first of all, in terms of the sweets, I would say you could have madness. It must be fudge.
It must be fudge. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Change a lot of titles from love to fudge, and it can come out actually.
I have to write that down. It must be fudge.
Fudge.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that was just came into my head.
That's great. Great, but that's how it should work. Because funnily enough, one of the greatest TV commercials of all time is a finger of fudge is just enough to give the kids
your kids the treat.
Hey, see, we're on the same page right there. Brilliant.
Yes, absolutely.
What else then, Lewis?
So the thing is, we've got the protests going on regarding the George Floyd thing. Now, what happened in America, I think it's a disgrace.
Yeah.
I think racism on any level is a disgrace.
For sure.
But the thing is, we've got the protests just now, which one of them that was quite close to my heart. I study at the University of Stirling.
Right.
It's near the Robert the Bruce
Memorial.
The memorial there.
Yeah.
And when it gets to the stage of vandalism, I know the suffragette movement was ended up being successful with vandalism.
Yeah.
But I think it loses a lot of credibility. I think a lot of people will say, if people are resorting to this, then what's the credibility in what they're doing? Plus we're in mid-pandemic, and my worry is that these protests, I say normally I would generally support them as long as they didn't get
if they were
too
peaceful.
violent.
Sure.
Yeah. I've never done one myself, but right now, with us being in mid-pandemic, my worry is that you're going to end up in a situation where there could be another spike, because you can't really observe social distancing at mass gatherings.
For sure.
In this situation. So I don't know how it works, if I'm honest. I don't really think right now. I mean, because if there's a second wave, these people would probably, no offence to anyone, but they might complain that, well, we're back in lockdown again. And then you've got to go, well, actually, it could. I mean, we've seen situations where apparently the R level is going up again in parts of the country.
Sure. I mean, what you could say is that the demonstrations are certainly not helping. And in fact, they could be driving the spike if there is another spike. Heaven forbid. We don't want to go there if we don't have to.
Well, I hope there's not, because I heard there was one in China. Well, there's fears of another one in China, isn't there?
Yeah.
Another spike over there. So I mean, I certainly...
In fairness, the rest of the world have gone roughly down the same path that we have, with fewer fatalities in most cases. So we've been doing something wrong. But but at least in all of the other countries, things seem to be settling down, and people are starting to get back into whatever life is going to be after the pandemic. And let's just hope we can get as many people back to work safely as we possibly can. I want to ask you just briefly, though, you're talking about racism and such. I've been to obviously, I love the whole Wallace story, and we've been up there telling his story and visiting the monument and climbing up all those ruddy stairs. Well, I don't know whether you've done it, but wow, blimey, you walk all the way up the hill, which that was enough for me. Then they say, there's about 5,900 steps to get to the okay, up, up you go. So it's a challenge. But surely the race thing, nobody plays the race card better than the Scottish, because it's even the banter between the people, guiding folk, park your bus here, it's just at the top of the hill. All of those people, your Sassenachs, and having a pop at the British and the English particularly for imposing all of the problems and ultimately killing Wallace. So you there's a whole load of banter, and yet it never gets out of hand. Yet the kind of race that we're talking about with George Floyd, and America, frankly, they've always had a problem that they've never quite addressed. And in Britain, we've always had a hardcore of stupid people who are racist, and it's hard to get round it. And I don't know how you can ever overcome ignorance, because there's always going to be some ignorant people.
You see, I said this on my Facebook account. I put something on my Facebook account last week saying the one problem with these protests is you're not going to completely remove racism. And some of the responses I got on my Facebook account were like, how stupid can you get? Of course you can get rid of racism. No, you can't. I mean,
it's tough.
We've had to, as you say about the Scottish and the English, I have banter with some English friends, and it is just banter. If we play each other in rugby or football or whatever it is, we'll wind each other up, but it's well meant. It's well spirited.
You'll have a game, and you'll still have a pint with each other at the end of the game. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't understand how people can say this will completely remove racism. I don't get that at all. I mean, I'm not pro-racism, but I just don't see how protests like this will completely remove it.
You see, what you'd have to do with some of these characters, because they've grown up believing that racism is right. And first of all, they don't know their own history. Otherwise, it's impossible to be a racist if you know English and British history, because we've took over people's countries all over the world, and we've begged them to come to Britain. So once you've done that, it's fairly stupid saying, those people shouldn't come here. We wouldn't exist if people hadn't come here. Full stop. However,
that's true.
But you can tell people that, and they all go, Britain for the British. And you can't go, because it doesn't mean anything, because we're from all over the world, and we're a better country for it, frankly. That's the thing.
I would agree. Yeah, we're definitely better for it.
Where do you stand on this monument ripping down thing? Do you think we should dig them up, hoy them out, turn them into, I don't know, something else?
Well, it's historic, and I think, personally, I'm not, as I said last time I was on, I'm not a mad Scottish nationalist. I'm not pro-independence. But I think for historic reasons, I think stuff like that should be kept up. I mean, you see situations where they take, for example, they've encouraged, one of my courses at the university was a history course, Scottish history course.
Great.
And they actually advised to go and look at the monument. And so I think for historic reasons, in that kind of area, I would personally like to, I'm actually completely blind, so I can't see it, but I personally think it should be kept on the basis of history and showing the importance of it.
Well, I mean, to be honest, and I don't know whether you would still get a feel for it, because obviously all your other senses are enhanced with the problem that you've got. If you ever did get to the very top of the monument, to feel the wind on your face, and people to say, just in front, that's where the English troops were coming, and just down there by the river, that's the bog that they got stuck into, and if it hadn't been for that, Wallace may not have been successful. To hear the story from the place where it really happened gives it that extra tingle on the back of your neck, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's another reason I think why I would be in favour of it staying. But I mean, I understand some people that would say, well, these are history, perhaps it's time to take them down. I understand the argument, but
doesn't change the history, though, does it? That's the thing. It's like with Churchill. Churchill was a busy boy from when he was very young, and there's been a lot of TV programmes on about him and films about him, young Winston and stuff I saw on TV over the last week or so, obviously cashing in on the fact that the monument's been desecrated. And he lived through a time in history where racism was endemic. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
However, he also managed to help us win a war that seemed impossible at the time against probably the biggest racist the world has ever known.
Yeah.
Does that not count? And do you rip it down for the bad things and yet completely forget about all the good things? And you can't have a good racist. I accept that. But was he not just a person of his time? Because that's how it was then. Right or wrong, that's just how it was then. I don't have an answer for it, but I think the difficulty is fascinating, because you can't wipe out everybody's good thing just because they did a bad thing, and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I mean,
would you take down Churchill's statue? Yes or no?
No, I don't think I would, because as you said, he was the one that helped us to win that war, Second World War against Hitler, which at one point, from what I've studied, it did not look likely that we were going to win that. So I would personally keep that up as well. I mean, as I say, I know there will be people that take the opposite view, but I would certainly support keeping it up there for the symbolic reasons.
It's funny, because I did a little bit of studying about Bonnie Prince Charlie, and according to what I read, he was quite hands-on with some women. He knocked a few women about in his time.
Yeah.
So does everybody in Scotland completely forget about that and just remember him as the young pretender? Yes, they do, but they shouldn't. He was abusive. He was abusive to a woman. So how many people are so squeaky clean that they're worth a statue? It seems in history, when times were very different, it was a different thing. To become a hero, you just had to win a battle, or you had to lead an army, or whatever. Yeah. In your private life, nobody gave a monkey's about. And now, of course, everybody's going over everything with a fine-tooth comb.
It's very different these days. I mean, I think a lot of stuff now, it's like politicians, if you say one thing on social media that's possibly considered politically incorrect, you're suddenly in trouble, you're called to resign. And in the olden days, say you had Bonnie Prince Charlie, you had Robert Burns, who had a few different battles in his time.
Sure.
So times have completely changed, and I suppose that's something we need to consider. I mean, that could be an argument for taking some things down if you say, well, nowadays they wouldn't be regarded as heroes for what they did.
Sure.
So I suppose you could consider that argument.
Yeah. It's interesting. We'll probably get more views. But Lewis, thank you for coming on. Anything else before you disappear?
I think that's it. But I must say, I enjoy coming on the show. It's only the second time on, but
I'm glad you did.
And I hope my mate Mac is listening in Durham.
I hope so too. Thank you for coming on, Lewis. All the best.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. So there you are, all the way from Annan. Beautiful part of the world. So, what's your sweetest... Oh, well, hang on. William Walton says, instead of the... Oh, here we go. Wamba, last Christmas, I gave you my last Rolo. Doesn't really rhyme, William, but I'll go with it. Age gaps, he's on about that as well. Alan, there's 10 years between my wife and I. We met when she was 18. married at 21, still happily together now, 16 years on. She's 37, I'm 47 almost, says Will in Durham. Well, congratulations to you. And also, hi, Alan. Sam was 30. Oh, this is Rachel, who is gorgeous. Sam was 33. And I was 17 when we met, only 3 months into being 17 as well, which Rachel, quite frankly, is on the edge of being very naughty indeed. But it's legal and it's allowed, so good on you. Who else is next? Oh, Catherine, and she is in Anfield Plain. Hi, Catherine.
Hello.
Hello, darling. What are you talking about tonight?
Sweets.
Oh, go on then.
Go on. I love Old Man's Backy.
Oh, because that was like coconut, wasn't it, Old Man's Backy?
Well, it was a bit like straw stuff.
Straw, yeah, but it was strings of coconut, I think. And it was orange as well, yeah.
Like black stuff. That was mint. Absolutely brilliant. Sherbet lemons. Whoa.
Yeah. But have you noticed if you buy sherbet lemons now, for some reason, there's no sherbet in them? You get a taste like there was sherbet in them, but there isn't any sherbet in them when you start sucking.
Same as the strawberry ones as well.
Yes.
There's no strawberries in them.
No. I don't know what that is. They're just tight with their flavourings these days. It's just wrong.
They've cut them out.
Can you still get Old Man's Backy?
Yes, some places in Gateshead in Newcastle Market, you can.
Because I remember when Old Man's Backy came out, I was just a kid, but when it came out, they used to do another one called...
it was something like Treasure Summit. Summit Treasure.
But there was also like a little pouch you could get called something gold or Fool's Gold or something, and it was little gold chewy gum things.
Yes, but it's not the same.
Not the same. No, you're quite right. Old Man's Backy. And also they did like smoking kits made out of licorice with a licorice pipe and a...
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember them? And they had that one bit of licorice with a flat end that you couldn't even bite. Yeah. Blimey, happy.
Like the chocolate spanners and stuff like that.
I remember that as well. They had the chocolate toolkit. Yeah.
Not that I'm an old person, like, but...
Of course not. You just remember your sweets. That's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, yes,
Tremendous.
But they were lovely, absolutely lovely.
It's when chocolate tasted proper as well, before they started trying to mess around with the sugar in them and stuff.
No additives.
Yeah, absolutely. Proper chocolate. Proper making you fat chocolate, you know, because they've started trying to make it less sugar. And as soon as you start doing that, it doesn't taste like it used to, and like we remember it to, really.
I mean, my man, he's an old bugger. He remembers, like, licorice all sorts when they were made by licorice all sorts.
Right, yeah, well, it was made by the right people, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely happy days.
Happy days then.
Yes. Anything else then, Catherine?
Yeah.
What's that?
My husband's going to say, remember licorice torpedoes?
Oh, yeah, of course. You still get licorice torpedoes, and they're not the same either. The stuff around the outside, you used to just have to suck for about 5 minutes, and then you'd get to the licorice.
And then they get the licorice.
Now it takes you about 10 minutes to get to the licorice, and then you've got to chow. You've got to chow and try and break into the damn things. It's just they've changed everything.
Everything is like, totally different.
It's true. Absolutely true. Hey, well, thank you for coming on, Catherine. Good on you, lass.
Thank you.
No problem. Great to hear from you. Old Man's Backy. There you go. Is that one of the greatest of the greatest? Question coming in here from Susan. I'm one of the many shop workers returning to work tomorrow in a shop in the Metro Centre. Do the Night Owls think it should reopen so soon? Retail stores have to implement their own safety rules with some government guidance. Clothes rails, coat hangers aren't going to be sanitised every time somebody touches it. Public toilets aren't going to be cleaned after each member of the public comes out the cubicle. I've already seen that with small numbers of the public not following the 2 metres distance stickers in the malls or following the one-way systems put in place, what's it going to be like tomorrow? Luckily, the company I work for, the shop unit, is relatively easy to keep sanitised and protect all of the staff. But you can guarantee the virus will be forgotten and families will take their kids shopping as if it's a new adventure to kill the boredom. Please, everyone, consider the staff in all of these shops. They're risking their lives and families' lives by providing a service to you all. No verbal abuse at the tills or in the queues. A smile and a thank you goes a long way. Susan, I absolutely hear what you're saying, and yet it's what supermarkets have been doing right from the start. All of the same things that you're worried about, they've been worried about, but they haven't been able to close. So in a way, when you say reopen this early, it's really late in their parlance, if you understand. Mark Easter's come on with the best ever kit was Fizzy Lizzies, and he's calling them Thin Lizzies. Oh, MG, I can taste it, he says. There you go. What about you, the greatest sweeties of all time? Ricky is with us in Washington. Hi, Ricky.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
Very well, man. What you got for me?
Just on the subject of licorice, can you remember the little tin boxes of tiny bits of licorice?
Were they not Tic Tacs?
Licorice, yeah, well, no, licorice imps.
Oh, the imps, of course.
They were tiny.
I remember them well.
If you had a hole in your teeth, you used to get stuck up and get them over your tongue.
And you would never ever be allowed to eat them within a week of you going to a dentist because it made your teeth look like they all needed
right,
pulling.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Another thing I bought when I was a kid, it was a bar of, it was about 2 foot long, and it was called Everlasting Toffee.
Right.
And guess what? It didn't last forever.
Didn't last forever. It was like the Everlasting Gobstoppers, but they were only called Everlasting Gobstoppers because they were roughly the size of a cricket ball, and you couldn't get them in your mouth, so you had to lick the sides. Pathetic.
On the subject of monuments,
yes,
I was going to climb Penshire Hill today and pull the monument down, but by the time I got to the top, I was knackered. Didn't have the strength.
Right, no, absolutely.
The COVID virus.
Yep, where do you stand on that?
I picked up a newspaper yesterday, and there was a full-page spread of face masks and sanitizers, and then these bunny-coloured face masks and all different patterns.
Yep.
If you wanted to, you could buy 6, and you'd be saving £12 if you bought 6, and they were £92.
Wow, cheapest.
6 masks.
Unbelievable.
And I thought to myself, I know the people who should be wearing the masks, the company that's trying to sell for £92.
Cheapest.
Absolute disgrace.
No, because to be honest, what they've said is as long as you cover your face, they say make sure you got a mask on.
Yeah.
I've seen people just hold a scarf across it. You make a homemade one that wraps around your lugs and stuff.
And there was hand sanitizers, like about the same size as the bottle you use hand soap.
Yeah.
250 ml.
How much?
The one that's £9.99 plus £4.99
delivery
postage.
Cheapest.
So that's £15. Well, there's a very well-known, I'm not in the shop, but the bargain shop.
Yeah.
And you can get them for £1.79, £1.89.
No, absolutely. But the thing is, because the way it's been handled in Britain has generated the amount of fear that it has, it wasn't that way in a lot of the other countries. In New Zealand, they were never frightened of it. They just says, better safe than sorry, do this, do that, do the other, and we'll be all right. However, in Britain, it was, we're doomed! And
it's all going back to front on. You know,
crazy.
They're doing things now. I mean, the shop's opening up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed, I was in the galleries today, and the stopping the escalators from tomorrow. You can't go up the escalators.
So what about people that can't walk easily? That can't do the stairs? They're stuck on it.
There's a lift which you can get about 6, 8 people in.
Uh-huh.
But how is that going to be safe as the escalator?
Well, you see, at first they say, I want everybody to be safe and sound, obviously, like anybody, common sense. Don't spread it, be safe, have the experience of being able to shop again, hoorah, but canny and be careful, makes sense. However, they're making it kind of impossible, because at first they said, well, you can go shopping, but there'll be no toilets.
Yeah.
And you think, well, hang on, you know yourself, when you got to go, you got to go. So what, it's going to be more healthy having people whittling outside up against the wall, because that's what would happen if the if there's no toilets. I just think that it's just kind of been badly run, the whole thing. And
The other week, I was out for a walk the other week, and when you get caught short, and I said, well, where can I go? And I remembered there's probably the last outside toilet in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in there, and I think I'm probably the first person in for about 20 years. There was cobwebs and spiders. And
you're more likely to die of the Black Death using that place rather than COVID.
That's exactly what I thought. I'd get the plague.
Because those toilets, the old-fashioned toilets, you used to be able to smell them before you got anywhere near seeing them, that's for sure.
That's right. And of course, you used to read the graffiti while you were in.
or add the graffiti, one or the other.
Or write the phone number down that somebody wrote.
Oh, hang on a second. Is she really? Right. Very good stuff. Anything else, Rick?
That's it, Alan.
Good, man. Great to have you. Thanks for
indeed.
coming on. Take it easy. Bye-bye. So there's Ricky in Washington with his views. Bottom line is, we came off worst in the grand scheme of things. More people, more fatalities. The way the government handled it, rightly or wrongly, because it's not a job that I would ever have wanted, because it's a stinker. How do you keep your population safe when you don't know? And patently, he wasn't going to listen to scientists. He went his own way, the same way as Trump, and we've ended up having what we had. What do you think about everything? Talk to me. Let's have it. We're doing this thing about sweetie songs, so it's quite appropriate that we play this David Bowie tune. It's one of his all-time greats, Life on Mars.
It's a god of
Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
On the whole race topic, Tony's going to throw a spanner in the old works. He says, how do we know that the cop that killed Floyd was a racist? Could he not just have been a cracker who would have acted badly no matter what colour the suspect was? Apparently, the cop's wife is an Asian lady, so I don't think colour mattered to him. And I wonder how the lady that Floyd robbed at gunpoint while she was pregnant thinks of all of the pictures of Floyd with angel wings and a halo. Two sides to every story. Also, don't forget that Greatest Hits Radio working on Cities of Sound, looking for the best cities for music and culture across the UK. If you want to partake in this, get yourself online, check it out. And also, we've got a Hits Live Fest coming up. Get ready for that too. And of course, our cash register is kicking again. You may well just be able to make yourself a fortune on our behest. Got a lot of stuff coming in. Adam says, tell Alan me dad, Nigel Moffat, says hello. He'll be listening in the HMP on his last night shift of the week. Good to have you with us, Nige. Used to be a thing in Durham called the Robson Rumble. Whenever I'd have a pop at Criminals, you could hear the whole wing kind using swear words under their breath. Don't know whether that still happens. Would love to think so, because I'll keep criticising them every chance I get. Also, sweetie things. Kelly Crowther says chocolate limes, violet and rose creams. Never come across them, Kel. But the one that just resonates with me, rose and lemon Turkish delight. The proper one in the little threepenny bit shaped box. Now, that's an old-fashioned phrase. It had the fancy box with all the icing sugar on it. Not like the Turkish delight you get in bars. No. But the stuff in the box, I'll have some of that. Harry says he used to sneak into Woolies and he caught a white mouse running along the counter. Don't know whether it was a chocolate white mouse. Connor Woodall, he likes Tic Tacs. He says they're classic, super tasty. And got some more sweetie songs. See what you make of these. Instead of teardrops, pear drops by Karamak and Karamak instead of Womack and Womack. 18 with a black bullet. Got my finger on the trigger, going to pull it. Help me flake it through the night. Oh, Gladys Knight and her Pips. I think Pips were a sweetie as well, weren't they? And also, Everything is Bountiful. Pushing it a bit. There's a better one. If I said you had a beautiful bounty, would you would you hold it against me? And I love this because it was one of those dance songs from the noughties into the 90s into the noughties. Do you remember? Wiggle it just a little bit. They've gone ripple it instead of wriggle it. Very good. And also I have to deliver the first clue for our competition to win you said mug. And 4 clues. You'll end up with 4 words that are lyrics of an amazing song. You got to name that song and tell me who sang it. That's the deal. The first clue is this. A yellow dessert served with cake or fruit, especially rhubarb. Okay? A yellow dessert served with cake or fruit, especially rhubarb. Clue 1 down. 3 more clues to try. Do not enter this until you hear the 4th clue, because you haven't got the answer to clues 2, 3 and 4 yet, so don't try. However, let's see how you do. Meanwhile, Catherine, I said I would speak to, and I'm going to do that right now. Hi, Catherine in Sunderland. Hello.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling. What you got for us all this evening?
It's just about the sweets.
Oh, go on then.
Cadbury's caramel.
Oozy chocolate. And I know Galaxy tried to do a one like it, but wasn't the same. I know what you mean. That as soon as you see that light yellow wrapping, you kind of go, oh, hang on. This is going to be gooey and nice. Yeah.
But I also like blackcurrant and licorice sweets.
Right.
And cola cubes and pineapple chunks.
The only problem with pineapple chunks, and I don't know whether this was like a fault in how you made a pineapple chunk. If it was about every 5th chunk, because once you've had one, you're not going to stop. About every 5th chunk, a little hole would appear in a corner, and it would cut the end of your tongue. And for
and it also pulls your filling out as well.
little bit, that's the thing, because they're crunchy, and you think, oh, it's soft enough for me now to chew.
Yeah.
Oh God, my tooth snapping off.
Yeah. It pulled my filling out actually. A pineapple tongue last week.
Last week.
Last week.
Blimey.
Yeah.
How did you get a dentist to fill it, or is it so you still got your hole open?
It's like chipped the tooth.
Oh no,
Tooth
right.
chipped and everything. And
But can you get into a dentist or not?
They only take an emergency, as far as I know.
So you're not in any pain though with it?
Touch wood, I'm not.
Yeah,
but I'm looking for like a temporary filling.
Definitely. Oh, blimey.
I know.
It's one of those things when you do that to your tooth, you go, oh God, I'm gonna have to go, and until you get your tongues and you're poking and.
I know.
I
hate dentists as well.
Join the club. No, there is a large club of people who also hate dentists. Absolutely. Anything else then, Catherine?
Just about tomorrow and the shops opening.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting when the shops open tomorrow.
Right. I think they're all going to learn what supermarkets have been dealing with for the last 3 or 4 months.
There's certain shops, like especially sort of in the bridges, there's certain shops that are sort of quite small, if you know what I mean.
No, absolutely. I mean, the bridges is one of those places.
It's going to be like interesting, isn't it?
You can't distance in a place like that. You just cannot do it. Cannot do it. I mean, a lot of places, Jackie White's Market, there's a lot of markets around the northeast. There's one in South Shields. There's obviously Washington, the Galleries. There's the Granger Market in Newcastle. Mm-hmm. They're designed for huge crowds of people to be wedged in. And how you social distance in a place like that, I've got no idea.
I know. I think it's going to be really, really sort of interesting.
I think so too.
And then them sort of talking about like taking the social distancing down from 2 meters to 1.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit too soon.
But you not think we're already kind of at 1, because even today in the garage I mentioned before, I was within a foot of somebody. It wasn't not even a yard that you could see. We were right next to each other, and there was no way for me to get in and out the shop without walking past people.
Yeah,
I could have jumped over the shelves, but they wouldn't have thanked me for it. It's just there was no other way of doing it. So I think the social distancing thing has kind of gone out the window, which makes me think whether is Boris. I'm not just blaming him. Is the government then telling us what we should do in advance? Or are they waiting until we're already doing something and then saying, well, we're thinking just a metre now, because we're already at a metre. We're already less than a metre. So
yeah,
I don't know whether the dog's wagging its own tail or whether we're wagging it, if you know what I mean. But
I know.
Be interesting. Are you going out shopping tomorrow? Boris says, go on, spend till you drop.
Me mum wants to.
Right, so if mum says, then you're going.
Me mum says.
There you go.
So I think we're going to meet up and go shopping tomorrow.
Right. The only thing is, though, when you have the grand shopping day, you always think, and this is an interesting one, because the cafes won't be open and not be a restaurant or a pub or whatever. However, everybody that can sell food seemingly is. I went along Newcastle's West Road the other day, and about every shop that could sell food was open and selling food. And people were going in and buying it like you would in any other shop, but not just deliveries. You could buy it at the counter and walk away with it. So if they can do that, why can't the shops in supermarkets, all be open to do the same thing? I don't understand why there seems to be one rule for one and one rule for another. You either all, obey what we're told, or you don't. Cannot have it both ways. So
I know. I mean, I was at my boyfriend's house at the weekend, which was like strange because obviously.
What, because of him? Oh.
No, it was like strange, as in sort of, with them saying,
I'm gonna
in the bubble.
Could you kiss him or?
Of course I could.
But I thought, you can't kiss him with them 2 yards between you, or did you cut down to 1 and both lean in?
both leaned in.
Because they don't tell you, they say, oh, you get a family bubble now, and some nanas can cuddle their grandbairns and so, which is a lovely thing. Because nanas and grandads are most at risk, is the thing. But so I love the fact that we're getting a little bit of human contact because we thrive on it. We actually excel with the touch of a hand, the stroke of a cheek. And I think this has taught us how much all of that kind of stuff means. But no mucky filth, mind.
No.
Too late! We're doomed! That's fine. I hope you just had a good time anyway. Anything else, Catherine?
No, that's all, Alan.
Lovely. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye. Oh, dear. Dancing on the edge of overstepping the mark on a daily basis. Let's crack on. More sweets coming in by a storm. Here comes the fudge. Here comes the fudge. Brilliant. Save all your whispers for me. Oh, do you remember Montego biscuits? Montego Bay has been suggested, of course. Mellow Mallow. Oh, it's a Gary Glitter song. I've just twigged. Mallow, Mallow, I'm back again. Yeah, there you go. Galaxy, Earth, Wind and Fire, classic, greatest hit. Little Red Booster, Rolling Stones, Black Jack, Do It Again, excellent. And Native New Yorkie, Odyssey, classics, all greatest hits, all too. We're keeping going. We've got Martin from Newcastle upon the Tyne. Hi, Martin. Hello, Martin.
All right.
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm good. What do you want to talk about?
Just old-fashioned sweets. I'm still enjoying the sweets.
Yeah. So what was your favourite then?
Oh, things like cola bottles.
Cola bottles? Yeah, absolutely. Good shout.
Fizz bombs. I used to
Fizz bombs.
remember them.
Fizz bombs were great. Where did they go to? Because everybody loved fizz bombs, and then suddenly they weren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Don't get that at all.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is mad.
From these.
I think they were a Dobson's sweets, and I thought Dobson's was still going. I stand to be corrected, but what a shame. They should bring them back. They'd work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Little bubbly things. I remember them well. Brilliant. Anything else, said Martin?
I think it's sweet peanuts. I love them as well.
Nobody's mentioned them yet. It was only a matter of time, though, definitely.
I love them. I'm still trying to get hold of them.
Yeah.
Hold of now.
It's funny because as soon as something becomes hard to get, you become more obsessed. I'm going everywhere looking for these things. Yeah, we do that.
Yeah.
I'm even going to go to the shop in the market because they do old bullets. Brilliant. Yeah. Anything else, Martin?
Yeah, I do. I'm reading these all these old retro sweet shops. A lot of them closed down now.
Yeah, a lot of them have. I know there's one in Cramlington's market. Manor Walks have got an old sweetie thing where they do sherbet and all kinds of weird old-fashioned sweets. And there used to be one in Sunderland called Sweet Home Alabama. I don't know whether that's still going or not.
I'm not too sure, mate.
No, me neither.
Check it out.
No, but everywhere had one. There used to be an old sweetie shop in the Granger Market in Newcastle.
I don't think it's there now.
No. What's happened to them? Because you would think those things never go out of favour. The quality old-fashioned ket from our past. Good stuff. I remember when they used to sell cinder toffee with chocolate on. Just to spite Crunchy, I think, just to spite them. There used to be all kinds of stuff, and they'd put it on a plate and smash it with a hammer and give you 2 ounces of it or whatever it was. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Any more?
I still used to love buying the penny sweets and that from the paper shop or the local shops when I was at school.
Try doing that now.
I know, yeah. Tell me about it, yeah.
Penny sweet, you'd get a Smartie, I think is probably what you'd end. But no, for a penny, you used to be able to have quite a choice. What, you want to spend that whole penny on sweets? Yes, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to live the dream.
Yeah, probably get a 20p mix up now.
Yeah, times have certainly changed to that regard. But hey, Martin, Thank you very much for coming on. Martin there with a whole range of juicy stuff, all to do with sweets and sweetified things. David Johnson talking about shops. I just want to say shops and one-way rules are ignored by a lot of the people. The other week I came against someone who should know better. An NHS worker was coming the wrong way out of a one-way aisle. I looked at her and looked down at the arrow. She looked at it and looked at it as much to say, so what? 10 minutes later, I see the same person heading the wrong way down another aisle with an arrow pointing the other way. And no entry sign on the side she was entering. I just thought NHS worker as well. These people should know better. There you go. I think people universally, irrespective, 90% of people have been obeying the rules and trying their best to keep avoiding people. And 10% don't give a monkeys and never have. Not since the beginning of all of this. Right. Oh, hang on. Will has sent me a screenshot. Let me just open his screenshot and see what he's sending me. It's about sweets. Toffee and mallow eggs. In a big box of toffee and mallow eggs. Macintosh's Toffee's expertise was put to good use in 1972 to launch these toffee and marshmallow-filled eggs. They continued to delight customers well into the 1990s. How come I don't remember them at all? It's the kind of thing I would have murdered back in the day. But thank you for that. Anyway, we have Andy in Sunderland. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Alan, you all right?
Hello there. What can we do for you tonight?
Just a few of the guys from the station asked to have a chat about a music festival that we're organising for next May.
Tell me everything.
For NHS workers, key workers.
That's great. Good on you.
Basically, we've got Harrington Park.
Oh, wow.
We've got about 10,000 people in it. It could be free ticket entry. All NHS staff, key workers. Just really so that we can all say thank you to them for what they've done. Trying to build a really good lineup for us. We've got the great Emily Sandé.
Wow.
One of the headline acts that we've got.
Yeah.
Got another young lady, Karen Harding, who's very much on the up just for this new single on Friday.
Great. She's from Concert and she's excellent.
She is actually brilliant. Yeah, so we've added a DJ. I hate the word tent, but it is in effect a big tent.
Right.
There'll be 2,000 people in it, so we've got a DJ standing there. And we're hoping in the next week to announce one or more DJs who have confirmed who are pretty big names in the industry.
Fabulous. How come you've got this? How come you've got this free though? Is the thing, because usually to set up a festival, the amount of money you've got to pay, even just for your health and safety and stuff, is an absolute fortune. How come you're managing it?
Yeah, so I have, my background is not in this at all.
Right.
I work in recruitment for myself, but my wife, she works at South Tyneside Hospital.
Right.
I saw firsthand what all the staff on her unit were going through, doing bits about. And the one thing that was kind of really clear was that when all this is kind of the dust settles a bit and we can start to get back to some semblance of normality, was they wanted, in effect, a big party.
Right.
Be able to reconnect socially.
How better to do it than with a razzle? Absolutely.
So what started off initially as the guys on her unit were like, look, your mate Ben, so a friend of mine's got a band, Sons of Eden. Would they do a gig for us? So I spoke to Ben. We in turn spoke to Sunderland Council about possible venues. Harrington Park was one that was muted to us. And we kind of just thought, you know what? If we're going to do it, let's do it big style.
Sure.
And we've set our stall out. Would be free. We don't want people to pay for it. It's not much of a thank you if you.
Yeah, if you're stinging them 70 quid. No, absolutely.
Exactly. So we've got companies, quite a few companies we're speaking to at the minute about putting sponsorship in. So there's a headline sponsor, different sponsors for the stages,
right,
for all those types of bits. And then where we've been really lucky as well is obviously all the artists are given the time for free.
Tremendous.
Emily's got good connections up here. She's from Sunderland initially. She's
absolutely
quite high up in the university as well over in Sunderland.
Right.
Like you said, Karen's a local lass.
Great.
So that worked out quite well. And then we've got like the guys at Crowd Karaoke are going to come and join in later on in the proceedings. People are a bit oiled.
Yeah.
And then in between the acts, they'll be on the stage doing their thing.
Drive them crazy. Great stuff.
So it should be good. And then I've been really lucky that a few people that I know you mentioned there, like the safety and that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
These guys do it for a living, for
Right.
big concerts and festivals, and they were like, look, we'll just do it for you for free.
That's great.
We think it's really good, so we've got those guys on board.
And the thing is, Harrington Park is in a place where if you live on Teesside, it's no effort. If you live on Tyneside, it's no effort. If you live in Northumberland, it's easy to get to. I mean, you're going to draw people in from Leeds, Manchester, all over the place because the lineup's as sound as it sounds.
Definitely. I mean, it's a bit of a tricky one because in some respects, getting artists to come and perform is not as easy
No.
as some people might think. Like, oh, it's for the NHS, they'll do it, no bother. And it's not because they don't want to. It's because so much has been cancelled this year and rescheduled for next year. Next year is really busy.
Yeah.
But what we've kind of said to people is that, and it sounds a bit blasé, we don't need artists, big name artists, to sell tickets for the festival.
Yeah, because it's free.
Because it's free. And
Right.
we're sat at the minute with nearly 20,000 people on an email database that have registered through the website.
Right.
What we need artists for is to make the day memorable.
Yeah, but on top of that, and I hear what you say, next year is going to be chocker because everybody's tours that were cancelled this year, they'll be on next year, and they'll probably do 2 or 3 in a row just to try and make up for a year's lost revenue, pretty much, because they couldn't book a thing, until they know that you're allowed to have a crowd sitting beside each other or whatever. So the entertainment industry's been a graveyard for acts and venues, sadly. Hopefully this is a way to bring them back. But how better to show yourself off to say, well, yes, I am on tour, but I'm going to pop in and do, even if they do a 20-minute set rather than an hour or 2 hours,
Well, that's all we're after. People come along and do 20 minutes, half an hour.
Do a bit and zip. That's it. Brilliant.
Yeah, because we're getting a mix. We're not setting it out. There'll be one type of music at the festival because not everyone might like that certain type of music.
Sure.
Hence having the DJ side to it. So if you don't necessarily, the artist who's on the main stage might not be your thing. That's fine. Go down and listen to
DJ 10
have a bit of a jump around.
Do what's happening there. Absolutely. No, it's great. And it sounds like you're going to have a nice variety of stuff for everybody. So you've got it nailed.
It should be good.
How do people get to find out more about it and put their name on that list? Because I've got a feeling quite a few people are going to want to do it.
Yeah, so we've got the website, which is just literally www.rockinginthefreeworld.co.uk.
Brilliant. Rockinginthefreeworld.co.uk. Brilliant.
Go on there, sign up. There's a Just Giving page as well if people wanted to donate towards the cost of it.
Great.
We're not shy. As we've said, it's not commercial, so unlike there's a lot of festivals that say that they're linked into the NHS, but ultimately they are commercial beasts. They want to make money out of them.
Sure.
This is completely non-profit, so any money we make gets put back in, hence putting the DJ side to it. So
tremendous.
We've got that set up. And the more we can get, like I say, the more we can just add to the day. There's lots of stuff we want to put on and add into it. We just want to make it as memorable a day for as many people as possible.
It's going to be the party of the year so far. Fingers crossed it remains
plan.
that way. Hey, thank you very much for coming on and make it happen, Andy. Good luck to you, mate.
No worries, mate. Cheers, Alan.
Thanks a lot. How about that? That's pretty damn special. Now, we got a superstar for you. We haven't heard a superstar yet. Immediately after this.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
You with the big one. And lots of texts coming in that I didn't know how to get onto my screen, but I've been educated. Hi, Alan. Could you please say hello to Michael? Long time listening to your show for over 30 years. Brilliant presenter. I'm glad you are, Michael, because I'm the only other one left. And he says, songs with sweeties in the title. Roll over Beethoven. Brilliant. Sweet Tobacco Road. Tobacco Road. David Lee Roth version. Oh, kicking. Rock Around the Clock. My Boy Lollipop. Flake, Rattle and Roll. And I'm Leslie, who used to have a sweet shop in Howarth, selling all of the old-fashioned sweets, and I loved it. I made you the night owl framed picture I gave you in red. I hope you still have it. Of course I do. Alan, this one comes from Davy Byrne in Windy Nook. Meatloaf, you took the chud right out of my mouth. Oh, dear. And hi, Alan, I've been up Gray's Monument in 1991 with my dad. You can see Wylam from the top. And remember, they had to close it in 1980 because of the metro and the vibrations. I do remember that. And also, Margaret and Hollywell, can you remember Rhubarb Rock? No. It was lush and coconut mushrooms. Oh, I remember them. Coconut mushrooms. They used to put like a little bit of dolly mixture in it, pretending it was like an egg in a bird's nest. Remember that. Lots of other stuff that we are talking about. Let's get busy on the big one tonight. 0191 488 3188. Keep the calls coming. More sweeties, and let's keep as many of them as we can. Everything I Toblerone. Pastel Dutchie to the left hand side. Red wine gums. All you need is love. Hearts. And Star Bars on 45. Brilliant. Crazy. Jan in Gateshead's on about things. Hi, Jan.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, love. What are you talking about tonight?
You know how you've got this protesting in Newcastle?
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Great Monument.
Uh-huh.
You know what I was thinking about?
What's that?
You know how you've got all these statues from years and years and years ago, before you were born,
Sure.
before me, before grandkids and your own kids. We've all learned the history of it. We don't go and do what the past done because we weren't there.
Right.
So I don't
sure.
know why we've all learned from it.
Yeah.
Am I right? We wouldn't go around being racist or anything because this is one world.
Well, I would love to, if only everybody felt the same way that you do about it. Problem is, you see, they're focusing in now, particularly on one part of history, which is slavery and people who made an absolute fortune on the back of history, of slavery rather. And that was a lot of people. A lot of people made fortunes, selling human beings to people. And we now say that's heinous. However, a lot of the people that benefited from slavery also did good things. So you cannot have it both ways. Let's build a statue to him. He's given jobs to 5,000 people here for 40 years. How did he get his money? He invested in people who enslaved people. I can see why people get shook by it and say, why should we have a statue of somebody that did that? It's just, I don't know how many famous people that if you look into their characters and everything they did from the day they were born till the day they died, you're going to pick some bad bits, because we all have had bad bits in our life when we've done things that we shouldn't have done. Me included. Everybody has,
But everybody's learned from the past because we don't go around doing a lot of stupid things or say stupid things.
Well, we hope not. But you'll know yourself there'll be some people in your street who, as soon as they open their mouth, are insulting somebody, and that's the nature of being a human being, and it's a sad part of it. But as I say, if everybody agreed with you that we are one world, and we absolutely are, we're not just one country anymore. We're one world. We go everywhere, we do everything, and everybody comes here and does stuff, and we go there and do stuff, and that's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. But ignorant people will do what ignorant people do, and that's just a fact.
Right, I've got another thing.
Yes, love.
Right. You know, all these years that you've done radio presenting, since I was a Ben,
Right.
you were presenting. I'm not saying your age or anything.
No, I
right?
am an antique, I understand.
Antique. A good antique. Eh?
I've done well with age. That's what happens with antique.
A good antique. Because you're the heart of an old piece too, man.
Bless you.
Right. You know, in your head, just think back, all these years, what sticks and makes you laugh in your head?
What sticks in me? Well,
like from your past?
People. Well, frankly, it's usually people saying the stupidest things. I love comedy anyway, so name any of the great comedians from the north, and they've made me laugh. But it's normally people like yourself. You know, people will come on and they'll not realise what they're saying, and it's just funny. And if you can play along with it, well, then it's even better. If I can find a clip of an example of it before the end of the show, I'll slip it in for you, so give you an idea of the kind of thing that I mean. But
and then there's another thing.
What's that?
Can you remember the story before you left your station? When you sent your mate into the lake or the river?
Yes, absolutely.
And you said there was something in the river, was it not?
Yeah, well, I actually, there was a few times. There was one of my colleagues that I took to the causeway at Holy Island, and I told him to walk along it. The tide was in, and the water came up to about his ankles. And I said, you see, you've got nothing to worry about. You can walk to Holy Island. It's only 1.5 inches deep. So he started walking. Well, he got about 3 feet and he went straight into the thing. So there was a few. I think my favourite of all time, and this was a co-presenter called Wayne, who I thought was excellent.
I think that's the one.
He was a good lad. The worst thing I ever did to him was also one of the funniest. He loved. I took him to a zoo in Germany. He didn't know he was going to Germany. I told him he was doing an interview on the plane, and then the plane took off. And we ended up in Germany at Hanover Zoo, and his big dream was to cuddle a baby chimpanzee. And I told him that I'd taken him across there so that he could cuddle this chimpanzee. And I didn't realise that his family had organised a party the same night and he was going to miss it. I didn't know that. That was a bit of a problem. However, when he got there, I said, there's a room in there. It had a really big, thick door. And I said, you go in there and we'll bring the baby chimp for you. And he said, I can't believe it. It's my dream. It's my dream. And I said, the thing is, he's a bit scared of new people. So there's something you can do to put him more at ease. And he said, oh, what's that? I'll do it. I says, I've got a bottle. I had Nutella. You know that chocolate spread stuff? Mm-hmm. I says, spread this on your face because he loves Nutella. And he'll want to kiss you, you see, and he'll smell it and he'll not be frightened of you, so you'll be able to hold him. And he went, are you sure? I said, yeah. So I rubbed some Nutella on his brow and down both of his cheeks. He was laid in it. Well, then I shut the door. What I didn't tell him was there was no chimpanzee coming. It was a fly hatchery. And when they pressed a button, they opened the sides and 2 million flies filled the chamber. And they all went for the Nutella, and they were buzzing, and he was rolling on the floor screaming. It was cruel. It genuinely was horrifically cruel. But I was wetting myself laughing. Halfway through, he's going, where's the monkey? You can't make it up. It was ridiculous. But that was one of the worst, nastiest things. He got his own back on me a dozen times. But we had a lot of to and fro, and it was good fun.
So how long you knew Wayne for?
Blimey, now it's probably good 15, 20 years, I would have thought. Superstar he was, superstar he still is, absolutely. Hey, but good of you to ask. Anything else, Jan?
That's it.
Okay, thank you for coming on. I mentioned that we were going to play a star because we haven't had any music this hour yet. Oh, my goodness. Think about somebody who looked like a supermodel every time you saw them. Marie from Roxette. I was chatting to both of them, about their style?
It's just, us. we have always, decided ourselves how we want to look like. We don't have, tons of stylists around us to tell us about how we, or record company people who tell us about how they want us to look. I mean, it's something that we really, it comes from ourselves.
Right, no pressure on you to, grow your hair, Marie. Do people not say that have a change?
Well, maybe they are, but I'm so, satisfied with how I'm looking today, and I really like my haircut. So.
It looks fabulous.
It's very easy.
I must say, on the video, you look tremendous as well.
Thank you very much.
In fact, you're out in front. Where's Per? I kept saying, where's Per?
He's asleep.
I was in the bar.
Just get on with that one yourself, Marie. That was the story, was it? Okay. Dorothy Blood Orange says, please do me a shout out to my mum, the one and only Felicity Waterlemon. And Ross Teasdale coincidentally says Marie from Roxette appeared in his dream last night. Apparently she really loved it on the Tuxedo Royale. Yeah, with a floor that turned, knocking everybody down like skittles. Betty Tomoth wishes Tamara, her daughter, happy birthday for tomorrow. All the very best. They're opening the shops especially for you. And also, Alison Heslop, my mum worked for Welsh's Toffees, the sweet factory in the 1950s. And she used to lick some of the toffees before they wrapped them up. Oh, dear, don't hear this, dear. And also, she scraped any fallen toffees off the floor and put them back in the hopper to be remade. So if you got any fluffy bits, you knew where they come from. I hope you realise, now you've told me that, next time I see Denise Welsh, I will be telling her about her dad. There you go. 0191 488 3188. Do not forget the greatest hits daily schedule. Starting off the day breakfast with Rossi, as always. Mark Goodyear doing his stuff too. Andy Crane, Darren Proctor, Rick Horton. Then at 10 o'clock, some Alex Lester, if you fancy. So there you go. That is the lineup on Great North Radio. Try and check it out if you can. The biggest songs of the 70s, 80s and 90s. And in my opinion, a goodly choice too. They're usually picking good tunes for you. I think you'll enjoy it. So let's crack on. We got Alan in Oh, hang on. Some more sweetie things. Lots of sweetie things coming in. Please bear with me. Right here. Cats get ready to rumble. Brilliant. What's Chud got to do with it? Sad, but are you going to go Milky Way? Bit of Lenny Kravitz. And everything I chew it for you. Alan from Seaham used to not know how funny he was. I've got some tatties for you, Mara. They came up early. I'll have to wait for me pal getting back to give you a lift with him. He's away in Stuttgart, plastering. It was so dry I was crying laughing. Also, that clip you played on the last Metro show of you and the lady just laughing. And you said, is there anything else? Are you done? And she simply said, I'm done. This is one of my favourite all-time clips of funny. Makes me proud to be an owl and a Geordie. Please put it on if you can find it. It's brilliant. Chris said that. It's equally silly too. I'll try and slot in whatever I can. Meanwhile, back to calls. And I promised you, Alan in Sunderland, here is the very man. Hello, Alan.
Hello, Alan.
Hiya, man. What you got for us all?
Right, just about first thing about the sweets. When you go to like somewhere like Beamish or something, and you stand there, short turn in the queue, you get to the front, and then you look in and you're thinking, what will I have? And you end up picking the same thing as usual, like the jelly babies or something.
This is the thing, 'cause a friend of mine is... he's always complaining that he's it's the same sweets. Why don't they make some of the sweets like the old sweets? And then you get to a place that sells a lot of the old sweets, and he'll buy the same stuff that he would get in the supermarket. And you think, but you've just been whinging about they're all there. Get some sherbet. Yeah, because if you remember, some of the things that we called sherbet wasn't really sherbet. It was just sugar dyed a different colour, and they call it like rainbow something or other, rainbow crystals, something like that. But you dip your finger.
Something as well. Something that's, yeah.
Dip your finger in and suck, if you pardon the expression. Yeah. Absolutely. There you go. Right. What else you got for me, man?
Alan, just like I'm a counsellor, private counsellor for adults, and just like about the government, they haven't really give us the permission yet to go ahead still.
Right.
But I've been doing a lot of sort of walk and talk counselling, which has helped some people.
Right.
Just with the government and media saying, a lot of people suffering, etc. Which you can do with the lockdown that against everybody.
So now, presumably, your traditional way of helping somebody would be to be by their side, to be sitting right next to them, eye to eye, close contact stuff. You can't do that. Are they not giving you any kind of permission to go and stay a couple of yards from people?
No, not yet. The usual method for me is face to face,
right?
Which will be, like a safe distance apart.
Absolutely.
But there's other parts of it. You walk into the building, whatever. You're touching handles, blah blah blah. So I can understand it, but every precaution can be made. But not up to now. So I've had to try online, text, like now face to face. It's now like sort of like walk and talk and trying every method to try and help people. You know.
It's not. I don't know about you though, but it's what I was saying before. There's an awful lot to be said for a caring hand on a shoulder. You know, even a warm, caring handshake at the end of the chat with somebody. There's a lot to be said for human contact and physically being there. You cannot do that, I don't think, down a television screen. You can do something, but it's not the same.
It's not the same, no. You know, like having that face-to-face contact is so much better. You get to see like how the person's really reacting and how they are feeling because it comes across in the way they're looking, how the face is performing, etc. And the way they're sitting, you know, or the legs moving, etc. You know, like are they twitching quite a lot.
Sure.
There's a lot goes on, you know, which you can like pick up on when somebody's sitting in front of you.
Yeah, the whole body language thing, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So have you had any guidance at all? Because from what I've seen, first of all, you kind of get in to see a dentist to save your life because they're wearing space suits to avoid coming into contact with anybody. They're only doing emergency kind of things. I had cause to be in a doctor's surgery about 3 days ago, and there's nobody there, and all the doctors and the nurses and everybody that is there is completely wrapped up like space suits, you know, like you would imagine in a film like Virus with Dustin Hoffman. You know, they're all, and you're thinking the medical profession have absolutely protected themselves. But my worry has always been it's the elderly that's most at risk. Surely the doctor's surgery should have been full of elderly people checking on their health. But they've all been told, stay at home for 12 weeks. Don't come out. If you're feeling like you've got a headache, stay in. You can call us, but we're not going to see you.
Well, that's right, yeah. And you hit the nail on the head. You know, the elderly, the first quarantine for that 12 weeks, and then, like... you know, like what happened in that 12 weeks if they were feeling ill and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. You know?
I mean, and I know that in certain doctors have, I think, edited what the government's told them, and they've sneaked a few in and looked after them if they've been poorly. And absolute respect to them for doing that. But if it is the elderly that's most at risk, maybe say the rest of us, if you've got a health problem, just ring in and tell us, and we'll give you a bit of blurb over the phone. I get that. Look after the elderly, though. Don't shut them out. Because, you know, I don't know about you, but I am aware that some older people, the only person they're ever going to talk to in a week's probably a doctor or a nurse. They're not going to see anyone. I know.
As much as we try and check on, like, sort of people around about, there is that time when some people won't get that, you know?
And also, you're not going to get... If you are a neighbour who's not spoken to the pensioner 4 days down for 3 years, and now all of a sudden you're saying, can I buy you some butter and a loaf of bread, you know, when I go to the shops, they're certainly not going to sit you down and say, by the way, did I tell you about my very personal problem, whatever your health issue is? They're not going to do that. They're going to be kind and respectful, but you're never going to find out. And it's that personal contact, even if it's just with a receptionist, that you have a chat. But it's personal contact again, where we're losing sight of one of the most important things, and nobody's mentioning it. It's like it's not an issue that we don't have to see. I think it's a huge issue.
And I think it's like when the old person sort of, you know, they'll get to like the front of the queue and they talk for quite a while to like the person on the till or something.
For sure.
Think, yeah, because they've probably got nobody else to talk to.
I've noticed this a few times, and you've got somebody elderly and they're just hanging on in there in the queue. Yeah. The queue's all going, oh, how weird. but if you realise he has a pensioner, this is probably going to be the only conversation of a day.
Yes.
So we just got to take a deep breath and say, hey, this is how it's going to be. You're going to have to take your time and not get irritated by it, because I've seen a lot of this. Hey, you get yourself up, and it's an excuse to get raggy, and none of this is an excuse to get raggy. We're all in it together. We're going to get through it together, hopefully, and we should just chill a bit, you know.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, mind you. I suppose. Yes. Right. So when do you think you're going to be able to get back to counselling proper again?
I'm hoping sometime in beginning of July, hopefully.
Right. I hope so too.
And that, fingers crossed, you know.
So you got another fortnight to
sort of
try and
like
do the best you can long distance.
Just like doing what you can for whoever comes forward, because that first step that they take, is the hardest.
For sure. Hey, well, respect for what you do. Thank you for coming on, Alan. Appreciate
Alan,
your
can I
time.
just, if anybody needs to get in touch with us, can I give me either email or website, either way?
Yeah, I think your website's probably better, but go for it.
Right, it's www.allenscounselling, all one word, .co.uk, sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. We're all the same with the email addresses. No worries. So if that's Alan, if he can help you at all, I've got no doubt that he will. Alan, thank you very much again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Alan.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye. Another piece of music, briefly. Getting hang on a second. Say again? I got no idea what that is. Oh, I beg your pardon. I say. We're going to play that track a little bit later on because we want to keep as many of you still watching for as long as you can. That makes sense. Right. So let's go to Peter Lee instead because he's on about sweetie pies. Hello. Hello, Simon.
Hello. Oh, hi. Next sweetie pie.
It's you. What's your sweets then, mate?
My sweets, right. I was just thinking about when I was a kid back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And parade of shops, we had Bailey's Electricals, me dad's barber shop,
right,
and an estate agent called Collins, I think it was.
Yeah.
But me sweet shop, Mrs. Bowden's. The shop must have been that blooming old, right? And I say blooming because I'm keeping not swearing.
Absolutely.
Right, the flagstones from the front of the shop to the counter were that worn because their shop must have been that blooming old. And she, blooming hell, right? It must have been about 1974, 73, something like that.
Yeah.
And she was a proper old lady then, right? I mean, proper. You wouldn't disrespect her.
Sure.
And she had, if you said, can he have a quarter of sweet peanuts, right? And that was when sweet peanuts were proper sweet peanuts, mine.
Yeah.
And she would bang the jar on the counter, and the paper bags was old and horrible, but you absolutely loved that old lady, right? I really did. And going back to what I was saying, the flagstones, the shop must have been that blooming old that they were worn from the front door to the counter.
Yeah, there's been hundreds of thousands of feet pounding the same path to try and get some of Mrs. Bowden's sweets.
Aye.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And can you remember if, you used to have jars of little rocks, right, like barley sugars and different flavours,
right?
But they were only about 5 or 6 inches long,
right,
in the jar,
right,
and you could pick different flavours.
Oh, to go in your bag for the same price of a quarter or 2 ounces or whatever you were buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could say, right, I've got 10 pence pocket money, which, you might have been a bit posh if you had 10 pence pocket money.
For sure.
And
you
could
have
say,
three of them,
can I have
2
one
of these. Yeah.
Yeah.
With you. That's great.
Right.
That's old-fashioned proper sweet shop because now everything's pre-packaged. Unless you do that other thing that costs you an arm and a leg, that where you can fill the bag and you put your little thing. I hate that. That's just wrong. It's robbery with violence.
Yeah. So do I. Right. A proper old sweet shop. Right. And like I've said, Mrs. Bowden, and there you go. Right, I'm 53 years old this year.
Yeah.
And I can still remember Mrs. Bowden.
It's brilliant. I think most people have a shop that was local. We had one called Annie Bond, and Mrs. Bond, Annie, was another old lady who kept the business going after her husband died. She was there for
Aye.
about 50 years, and she did that whole sweet thing. And also, you know, the bottom of the jar, when you had the sticky 2 inches of sweets that had just stuck
That
together.
was the best bit.
It was the best bit. But what she used to do was she'd get a knife and she'd hoke out all of the bottoms of like 2 dozen jars, mix them all together, and then sell them as lucky bags. But she'd make the lucky bag out of like a brown paper bag and just hoy a handful of crap, frankly, in there. But you'd get more for you'd get like a quarter for the price of 2 ounces, because it was all the old gungy stuck together stuff from them. We loved that. We loved it. We're getting twice for the value of our money. Brilliant. Happy days.
And do you know, right, without giving any addresses away, right, where I'm living now, right, my lass, right, who is 67 this year, right, she is living above the place that she got her first job.
Wow, how amazing is that? What was her first job?
She was a shop assistant in a place called Bruffs in Peterlee. There you go, I'll give it away.
Right. Oh, right. I tell you, brilliant. Happy. But what a great thing. She comes back round like a lap of honour. She's back to where she started from.
Honestly, it is, Alan. A lap of honour. That's a good way to put it.
No, it is for sure. Simon, we must move on, but thank you very much for calling. Great to hear from you, man. Thank you.
And I will call again.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much. We have to move on because we have to sell some stuff. So therefore, but we will be back and talking to you, and we got some great music, and we're talking to Gloria Gaynor, and we're talking to Nick Kershaw, and we got a session from Paul Young. Blimey, you are spoiled. Greatest Hits Radio Northeast. You keep it right here. Greatest Hits Radio Northeast.
Alan Robson's Night Owls.
The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And welcome back. We've got a lot more of those sweetie songs. If every song ever made, every hit, was actually about sweets, what would they be called? Well, you've been sending them in. We're listing them as we go. I love this because some of you, like Wham bars, you've got bands and artists down as well as songs like White Lines, Grandmaster Flash and Caramellia Mel. Brilliant. Very good. The Zoob Way Army. Yeah. Love Me, Love My Log. A log was like a toffee thing. Chew It Again, Steely Dan. And what about Sailor or Motley Crue singing Twirls, Twirls, Twirls? I'd rather Jack with Caramac. Tic Tac Toe. Give me just a little more dime. Brilliant. And hi there, Alan. I just wanted to share my wonderful day. I got the results back for my COVID test today and it was negative. So not only did I go visit my mum and go into her house for the first time, confidently knowing I couldn't give her anything, but I also cut her hair and cheered her up no end. I trained as a hairdresser over 30 years ago, but after having my kids, I never went back to it. But it's been a godsend the last few weeks, cutting me hubby's hair and even my own. But today, being able to cheer my mum up with a haircut and spending time in her house cheered us both up no end, just in time for my birthday on Tuesday. Love and hugs, Alison, who's in Anfield playing. Love to you, Alison, and your mummy. It's that personal touch thing again. You know, you can't underestimate what it is. We got some blah coming up. We got some music too. It's the Strutty song. John Travolta in black underpants. You probably know the one. It's coming very soon. Meanwhile, let us talk to Anonymous, who is in Bedlington. Hello, Anonymous.
Hello, Alan.
Hello there.
I just want to ask your advice.
Uh-huh.
Right, I lent a so-called friend some money last year, £1,000.
How much? £1,000?
Yeah.
Cheapers. Are you a Kardashian?
No.
Hell's bells, that's a fortune.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I've only known her about a year and a half. Then she had the nerve to ask us for another 500 on top of that.
Right.
But I lent her the 1,000, and here her husband had an accident at work.
Right.
And I phoned her last week to ask her if there was any signs of getting any money back.
Uh-huh.
And she sent us a message today saying that her husband had been to see us, but the blinds were closed, which they weren't, but he never knocked on the door.
Right.
Because I'm isolating with my health condition and everything.
Sure.
So nobody's been at the door.
Right.
And she sent us a message. She's busy with the band, bathing the band. She doesn't want to speak to us. And I really upset her because I asked her for my money back.
And have you noticed this? You upset her. She's got $1,000 of your money.
I've upset her by phoning her.
To be honest, the quickest way to lose friends and to lose your family is to lend or borrow money. And even people who you love and you trust completely will end up doing the dirty on you. I can say hand on heart that every time I've owed anybody anything, they've always got it back. And that's always going to be the case because you have to live up to your word. But the amount of times that I've had conversations with people like you, and I bet you didn't get anything in writing, did you?
Well, I know. Right, I'm on the media, on the computer.
Uh-huh.
Now, she sent us a new phone number, then when I went to get it to put it onto my phone, she's wiped all the messages off about me going to lend her the money, asking me for lending the money. But I've took photos and they're on my phone.
Right, well, thank heavens for that. At least you've got something to go after. If you say I've got copies of the messages to them, which you have, of course, you took the good sense to protect yourself a little bit. The problem is, you see, there'll always be an excuse for them not to pay it. I've just got a bill. My husband's had an accident. The band needs...
My husband had an accident. I mean, she could move for another 4 years or more before she could get money off him.
How long's it been since they borrowed the money?
November last year.
So they've had it long enough, frankly. Yeah. What did they borrow it for? Because they must have told you...
Frankie was coming for the band and she was so stressed and I'm very gullible at times. I'm soft as milk.
Yeah.
And she called us out right or wrong time, whatever you want to put it.
You see, it's very difficult. You could take it to small claims court and say, look, I've loaned her this money. There's the proof on my phone that we owe it. She's not giving any. Have you suggested to her, look, give me £100 a month for the next 10 months?
But she's not even speaking, because when I tried to phone her, she just cuts it straight off.
Right.
Sorted out with my husband. Well, it wasn't him I borrowed. I've known her husband longer than I've known her.
Right. Is he liable to be honest and trustworthy?
I've known him for about 20 years, and he used to be, but I mean, what will change when we get older?
Yeah, I think you want to have a word with him first. Give him the opportunity to do the decent thing.
For our phone number, and that was at 6 o'clock at night.
Well, even if you've got to ask somebody if they, or send a letter for him, say,
our grandma just lives at the end.
Right. Well,
and I've upset her, like telling her.
Right. Well,
I shouldn't have done everything.
No, I think you did the right thing. Use them. Let everybody know that they've got your money and they won't give it back. Because But I would give him the benefit, because you haven't spoken to him yet. Give him the.
Yeah, he came to my door a few weeks ago and saying as soon as anything comes, I will be in touch, because the solicitor's getting in touch at the end of May with his claim.
Right.
But they've never bothered phoning us to see what's happened.
No, and if they've got the money, they probably want to keep it. You see, the thing is, because you haven't spoken to him yet, and put a letter together and say, look, obviously a woman of my age lending you this, it's an absolute. You were daft, but you were kind enough to lend it, and it's a fortune to me. I need that money back. I've got all of the messages that you sent asking for the money, and I can prove that it came out of my account, because you probably can with your bank. I'm hoping you can, and I can prove that it came out of my account and went to you. I will take it further. I'm talking to a solicitor from the small claims court. I hope this is not necessary, but get in touch and let's see if we can sort it out between us. Now, if that inspires the guy to come up and do the decent thing, problem solved. You're going to probably not get it all back in a chunk, but you might get it back 100 here and 100 there. But make sure you put it in writing.
But the thing is, I did have it in writing when he came to the door. I thought, it was written out for her to sign.
Right.
And I thought, I can't ask him. And it wasn't cash, it was my cleaner. She's the clean for us.
Cheapest. Well, she's cleaned you out, that's for sure.
She has as well.
No.
But I'll let you know if anything comes of it.
Please do. But what you can do, you can ring, and maybe even not you, perhaps another member of your family can do this for you, to ring the county court and have a chat with the clerks there.
Yeah.
And you just say to them, look, I've got proof that this person's borrowed this amount of money. I've got all the details on my phone and through my bank account. They won't pay any money back. I want to take them to court for it. What's the easiest way that I can do it? Remember, I'm this age. There's not much that I can do about it. How can you help me?
Yeah.
Now, what they might be able to do is send you a form you got to fill in that you return to them, and then they do everything.
All right. Okay, smashing. Thank you very much.
It's just don't let them get away with it.
Right.
That's the thing.
Let you know what comes of it eventually.
I hope you do. And on good luck to you, darling. Take care.
Right, bye.
Bye-bye. You know, if somebody says, I'm going to loan you this money and I want it back by X, then you pay it back by X because it's their money. And if you're going to use it, give it back by X. Sometimes you borrow some money and you don't know how long it's going to take you to pay it back. Sometimes people are cool with that and say, hey, I know you're going to pay it back. Just whenever whenever you sell this or buy that or you get your bonus or whatever, let's have it back. That's fair enough. But try and put it all in writing. If you don't put it in writing, the easiest thing in the world is for the other person to say, didn't give it to me. How do you prove it? 0191 488 3188. Some more things coming in. Instead of Mandy, Barry Manilow, Candy. That's pretty good. And we have Linda, who is in glorious Dunstan. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, darling. How are you doing?
I thought I'd tell you how I terrified myself last night, and it's all your fault.
What? What did I do?
Well, foolishly, I mean, I've tried to download several sort of the downloads sort of each month. So I've got something to look forward to at night.
All right,
You know, and you think, I mean, there's so many of them. There's so many I want.
Right.
And sort of, you know, when you come across one and you can remember, but you can't remember it. And what I chose was, well, I actually chose 9 to be.
Well, is this from Robson's World, is it?
From Robson's World,
brilliant.
yes.
Brilliant, thank you.
I've got the download of Dracula and the Fortress of Count, is it Bathroy?
Yes,
Well, I tell you what, they were bad enough. I'm not kidding you. Every time you squeal, I squeal and the dog runs out the bedroom. I don't think he's done these things as being murdered or what, but it's like, heaven knows what my neighbours think is going on, but I'm sure that they sort of decides themselves at me screaming it's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. But I was listening to one last night about, I'm trying to get the name of it. It was the Plantation House.
Oh, yes,
1915, was it Halloween special?
Yes, it was,
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You talk about scared. I was with you every single way. You could hear every noise was picked up.
Mm-hmm.
When you heard those feet running behind you, thinking, oh, my God, start running, don't stop. Start running. Of course, you bloody didn't, did you? You nearly gave me an absolute... Is it called Magnolia Lane?
Magnolia Lane Plantation, yes.
I tell you what, if
New
people
Orleans.
haven't gone on to Robson's World yet and downloaded some of these things, they're in for the biggest treat imaginable.
Well, that's
I must
sweet
have
of you.
about 15, 20 now.
Give over, that's great.
And I'm trying to get a complete thing because obviously it's your life's work. I mean,
It is, absolutely.
you know, I remember them all and I don't think I ever missed one.
Right.
Not one.
The funny thing is, a few people have said that I thought I knew what that was, and then when you listen back, because if you do it properly, you do it late at night, it's nice and dark, you get the lights right, you've got your nibbles, and then off you go. And a few people have said how shocking they are, and they do make you jump a bit.
They do make you jump. That's half the thing. That's what you do it for, isn't it? I'm glad I'm me listening to it at home rather than you out there.
Right.
But tomorrow night I'm listening to The Plague Island.
Oh,
now, is it the second version I think that's on at the moment?
Yes.
Because you did it twice, didn't
I
you?
did. The first time I was with the TV people doing Scariest Places on Earth. And so we did that. What the deal was that I was quite happy to work on the telly for them, provided they built me a little mini studio.
Right.
And I could do Night Owls at the same time. So I was recording one and then nipping across the road and doing a bit of filming here and there. So that's kind of how it worked. However, the one that's on there is actually the scariest one because it was the time when legally they'd closed the island down and I was not supposed to get on it.
Right.
And I sneaked onto it. And you hear me doing all
well,
that kind of stuff.
That's the time you hurt your leg, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it when you jump into the boat or off the boat?
Yeah, onto the boat.
Onto the boat.
Yeah.
You see, I go with it all the time. I go through them with you, Alan. You've no idea. You must have aged me 20 years. I'm just a bit Ben, really.
Well, thank you very much. It's sweet of you for doing that. Good stuff.
But no, it's my birthday on Wednesday, so I'm hoping people buy some more because I've told them all that's what I want. But no, I love it, and if it's a way of supporting the site, you know, because I love the podcast every week and everything else.
Well, we're trying.
It's a pleasure, and it's just memories. It's shared memories of special times.
Well, we've got a few plans for the future that we may have to do, like DIY, but why the hell not? Somebody's got.
The thing is, if you can raise the money by sort of people buying things online, you know
it's either that or sponsorship or something. So we got to find a way to find a home, and we're looking at that now. But in the meantime, thank you very much indeed.
Oh, I love it, Alan. Totally love it. I just want everybody to go into Robson's World and buy something, download something, you buggers, please.
Thanks a lot, Linda. Bless you now.
Take care, sweetheart.
Nice love. Bye-bye. Oh, hey, that's just nice of her. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. A lot of the different adventures that we've had in various parts of the world ready and waiting for you. Now, I mentioned a thing before about underpants, black underpants they were, I seem to remember. But in the meantime, another whole pile of Sweetie songs have come in. Let's do one or two of them. Eternal Flake by the Spangles. It's pretty good. Two twoies. I Love My Pink Shrimpy Thing. I don't even know what song that's supposed to be. Oh, here's the thing. Bridget the Midget Gem. Ray Stevens. I'm Bridget the Midget, the Queen of the Blues. Mints and the Revolution. Revels Yell, Billy Idol. You see, they're all good. Where the Quality Streets Have No Name. Star Spangled Banner. Bourneville in the USA. Pear Drops on My Pillow. And Got My Finger on My... 18 with a Black Bullet we had before. Somebody's added to it. 18 with a Black Bullet. Got My Finger on the Sweetie. It's a Chew It. That's even better. Rod Stewart. Jelly Baby Jane. And, of course, Ralph McTell's big hits. The Treats of London. Great stuff. Let's have some more of them, if you can think of any, of course. Second clue I haven't given you yet. Let me share that with you too. Now, remember, I'm going to give you 4 words from an entire song, and you're going to tell me the name of the song from the 4 words. I think I've done this in a way that kind of, it'll have you kicking yourself if you can't get it. The first clue, a yellow dessert, usually served with some kind of cake or pudding, or fruit, especially rhubarb, okay? Second clue, not remotely alive, okay? Not remotely alive. And we even talk to them on Night Owls. You cannot stop us. Anyway, we promised you the thing about the underpants. The underpants, oh, what a memory. It is simply that classic from Saturday Night Fever. John Travolta goes into the door, puts his black little shreddies on and does that walk. I am sorry, because I know those of you watching, and you tend to just watch rather than listen. We're going to be doing about another hour and 20 minutes. Hour and 40 minutes, in fact. We're doing the blah next, which is usually one of the funniest parts of the show. Hope you can find another way to listen, but we're ending the streamy thing now because there's a few tunes and you're there, just drumming your fingers. We don't want that. So if you can listen to us, that's cool. If you can't, catch you next time. Check out the podcast. Lovely that she plugged Robson's World. Blimey, I couldn't have scripted it better. If you can help in any way, that's a cool thing. Keeping the podcast and stuff when we're doing essentially a day a week. So if you can help us, that's cool. Thank you very much indeed. Bless you. And until we're back together again, Greatest Hits Radio every Sunday, 10 through 2. Good night, God bless you, and I wish you well. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.